Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folari. So the long-awaited cabinet reshuffle has indeed happened, widely reported, and is being covered by stations, including ours. You probably heard a bit of that, well, the commentary on it in our earlier program, early morning program this morning. And so this is now our turn. We've heard from homebound Nigerians who are very, very close to it. But there are also those who are very close to it, but not necessarily in terms of proximity. There are Nigerians in the diaspora who keep a very, very keen ear to the ground and don't miss a beat about all things Nigerian. Indeed, our guest this morning in that connection is Dr. Okwe Bamiwo. Dr. Okwe Banwo, I'm sorry, Okwe, I put a Bami in between there. It's actually Banwo, you know. It's properly, I changed the spelling of your name by making it Bamiwo. So a fine morning to you, Okwe. Thank you for making the time for us. In the US, you have to wake up a few hours earlier than we do. So good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning, sir. My apologies. It looks like my system froze, but I'm using the phone now.
We're good.
You can see me well.
We're good. Okay, so we're going to come back and discuss the big news of the season, really. But before then, this report.
President Bola Tinubu's first Federal Executive Council meeting after his 2-week working leave threw up a bit of surprise. But it was also highly anticipated. A cabinet reshuffle that will reposition the administration at a time when approval ratings appeared to have dipped. 5 ministers were relieved of their appointment and 7 more nominated as ministers, while several others were reassigned portfolios within the federal cabinet. President Bola Tinubu scrapped the Ministry of Niger Delta and approved the creation of the Ministry of Regional Development that will oversee affairs of all regional development commissions in the country. The Ministry of Sports Development was also taken out. Likewise, the Ministry of Tourism that has now been merged with the Ministry of Arts, Culture and Creative Economy. Also, after a 10-month vacuum, the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation will finally get a minister, following the sack of Betta Edu in January.
The Federal Executive Council has taken a decision to take that Ministry of Tourism out and the functions of that ministry be transferred to a new ministry called the Ministry of Arts, Culture, Tourism and Creative Economy. The President and members of Council today took a decision to rename that ministry so that all these other regional bodies will come under this new Ministry of Regional Development.
The minister of the defunct Ministry of Niger Delta made some clarifications regarding the nomenclature of the new Ministry of Regional Development, insisting it is without prejudice to the Niger Delta region.
For our people over there in the Niger Delta region, I would like them to know that that has not removed anything from them. The NDDC is still very much in place, which is still under the Ministry of Regional Development, and all other such agencies are there. It's just a question of change of nomenclature. That is what has been done. And I wouldn't want anybody in that region to begin to feel that the Ministry of Niger Delta has been scrapped and is no more in existence.
The cabinet reshuffle may be part of recommendations submitted in a report by Hadiza Bala Usman, Special Advisor to the President on Policy and Coordination. She is saddled with the responsibility of appraising the performance of the ministers. Hadiza Bala Usman launched the Citizens Delivery Tracker app, which is the first digital app that empowers citizens to rate ministries, departments and agencies. It is unclear the kind of impact citizens had in the process or if their input influenced the decision to retain or sack ministers. In the coming days, the list of the 7 newly nominated ministers will be sent to the Senate for screening. Femi Akonde, TVC News, Abuja.
Okay then. Well, thank you very much, Femi Akande, for that report. Of course, you understand that that program, that story went out yesterday. Hence, you can put the today's in perspective. Okay, we still have with us Dr. Okwebanwo. 5 sacked, 7 more nominated, and quite a number reassigned. Your first impressions, Okwe?
Yes, as for the nominations, I think this time, I think Mr. President actually put the round pegs in round holes, because those 7 people, they meet what I've been talking about for months now, that we need round pegs in round holes. And when I look at those 7, with the exception of one of them that was a little bit shaky in terms of whether he has domain expertise or experience, every one of them, they are masters of their game in their portfolios. So that way, the learning curve is going to be reduced, unlike what we had with some of the ones in the past that someone like me have complained about, that they're all pretty smart people, but some of them were placed in portfolios that they didn't have domain expertise or experience. So they're going to need to spend time to learn it. Geniuses will come through eventually, but I don't care who you are, if you don't have domain expertise and you come into a place, you're going to spend months that Nigeria don't have to go and learn the job. But these ones, they come in swinging. Jumoke Oduwole, for instance, Stanford, Harvard, experience, decades of experience in things to do with trade and industry. So excellent. Bianca Ojukwu, former ambassador who's had decades of domain experience in external affairs. Idi Meha, who's a man I've even loved before they brought him up. I saw him on Twitter one day, the man doing amazing stuff with livestock and really being on the field, doing this livestock stuff. So when I saw him appointed as Minister of Livestock, that's the one that made me the happiest. But we need food in Nigeria. And the man had domain expertise there. When you look at Yusuf Abdullah Atta, also has some kind of domain experience with Kano State Housing Corporation. Dr. Yewadu at the same thing. He has experience with IDP and humanitarian resources. It's only Suwaiba Ahmad that I'm not so sure that his domain expertise was as extensive as the rest. But so I give Mr. President kudos. They are not known names other than Bianca, but these are people that are there that Nigerians don't even know exist, but they have amazing profile in the portfolio that Mr. President has put them. So I expect them to hit the ground running like Jumoke, Bianca, Edie, all these people. So I give kudos to Mr. President, at least on the new appointments. I'm not as happy with the others, but let's stick with the question.
Now, some ministers, there was something of a shuffling. Of course, the whole handful of ministers that were reassigned. So they're still in there, but no doubt they've been looking at the credentials, their strengths, their weaknesses, what opportunities exist, and possibly.
I'm not hearing you so well. I don't know if it's my reception. I heard about reshuffling.
Yes, I was going to say, okay, let's go to the matter of reshuffling. Whereas there were those that were excused, relieved of their duties, but some were reassigned.
Yes.
So you see that probably, maybe looking at what's been going on in the past, almost a year and a half, they have now looked at their credentials again and see that they can actually contribute more effectively in their new assignments, right? That must be the thinking.
Well, I hope I'm hearing you well. You talk about those who are disengaged. Let's call those who are fired, and then those who are reshuffled. I don't know if that was the question. I'm not hearing you so well.
No,
but on those who are fired,
point.
I think maybe.
Sorry, yes. Okay. I was making the point that some ministers have been reassigned.
Yes.
Yes, that's really it. Okay, I mean, do we really need to talk about those that have been excused, but the reassignments?
No, the reassignment I'm not so happy about.
Okay.
On the reassignment, to be honest with you, for instance, when you look at Dr. Lausa, who was reassigned from a place, is one of the few people I believe had domain expertise and experience in the ministry was given, which was health. Is one of our more cerebral, more performing ministers, practitioners in this field.
Yes.
And then you're moving out of there, you move into education. I don't know much about. I don't know is a domain expertise in that area. For me, the reshuffle. I don't know much about the ministers of state that were reshuffled. Other than that, allows her to be honest with you. We have not heard much from them. I don't know if they were performing or not performing. I'm not going to lie. The ones I was focusing on were not mentioned there. So many of those reassignments, I have to demur and say, listen, I've not done enough research about them from yesterday to see whether these guys should have been fired or whether they should have been reassigned, other than the Dr. Lausa that I know very clearly. I thought he was one of the better guys in the government, but putting him out of his water, I don't know if he's going to roll with it as he should. But those who are fired, you talk about an app. If you look at that app, everybody that was fired were rated very low. That's why nobody's crying for them. They are not performers. So they should have been fired 100%. There's not one of those people that anybody is crying for. So that should tell you something, that Mr. President, somehow is listening. He's getting people who are giving him the correct feedback, though I think that more that should have been fired. But those ones that were let go, good riddance.
You know, for instance, the finance ministry, I believe, now has a minister of state. You know, yes. I think the same thing with the ministry of works. You know, maybe yes. That's where they feel that look, this load can probably, you know, can benefit from, you know, an augmentation of the material team.
Well, in my opinion, if they are going to do this, rip up the Band-Aid and do what you got to do. If the substantive ministers are perceived to not be performing, that's why they need ministers of state to strengthen them up, then let them go. We have enough intelligent people, enough smart people at the disposal of our president that they could put there. We all know some of the ministers that we feel will have been affected that are not. I don't want to get into that here. But that Ministry of Finance, how many of us in Nigeria are going to say today the man is doing a great job? I love him, he's my guy, but the truth of the matter is that, is he doing a great job? Go and poll Nigerians. 90% will tell you they don't think so. Now, maybe Mr. President is looking for something else. I cannot prejudge Mr. President. He knows these guys well, and he appears to be in control of his cabinet. So why he's retaining him, I don't know. But for me, I like to give benefit of doubt these days because it's easier to criticize from outside. Yes.
Yeah, and now the development commissions have yes. all been put under, they all to work, you know, under a ministry, you know, as opposed to being sort of semi-independent before. You saw in our clip there where the admonition was going out that, look, nobody should start to be overthinking this. It's all about organization, and probably wanting these development commissions to be for them now to be a coordinated kind of synchronicity regarding what they do, what they're all about. That move. What do you think of that move?
Yeah, I think I keep telling everybody, Mr. President is at Ogbologbo in this matter. Is backing the Agbalagba way, to put it that way, into this true federalism that if you notice what he's been doing, it's been gradually just trying to make sure there is more autonomy for the constituent parts. So this development authority, I think it's a good idea. It's not only the Niger Delta that should have a commission on BTBAO. It should be everybody. Okay, so now those four that they had, they have not scrapped the Niger Delta Commission. It's part of from the way I understood it.
Yes.
That's actually number one. Then we have 3 more or so. Because I've had a lot of people on Twitter saying, what about the Southeast Commission? I thought that was the Niger Delta Commission. And I think it's solid like that. We should have, and they should all be centralized into one ministry. Let the commission be able to do their job for their specific area as much as possible. So that one, I give Mr. President very, very, very big ups for that, because it balances out the development so that Southeast, Southwest, Northeast, Northwest, they should have a commission that is focused on them, where all of them are now reporting to one ministry. For those who are complaining about that, it's just selfishness. Why shouldn't Southwest have his own? Why shouldn't Northeast have his own? Why shouldn't Northwest? That's where it's supposed to be, and that is our path back to the best federalism we can have, even within this constitution. So Mr. President is gradually just doing this thing without making so much noise. about doing what all of us know. I will give him props where I think he's doing it right. We have been saying too much power at the center. We need to have some of these regions and states to be more empowered so that development can spread. This is one of that. And I think people should see it in that light rather than seeing it as taking power away from one zone. It is to balance the development, and I think it's a great thing. I've said it in one of my articles that we should have something like that. It's not something that has to be done by force. Let government do it properly, and they've done it. And I applaud the president for that, regardless of what others are saying.
Okay, we haven't really looked at individuals, but the sort of return of Sunday Daddy, that's notable, isn't it? He used to be Minister of Sports. Now he's come back as a special advisor to the president.
Yes, I've seen some of the people in the Buhari government. If they sneak back into the government, we have to watch them well. If all of us are saying Buhari government didn't perform, then why are we going to go bring people from there? Even Jumoke, I think, was there. So Sunday Dare is a great guy. When he was there, when he was rocking, he did a good job. So I have no problem with him being back in government, other than the fact that, okay, are we saying we don't have enough fresh hands that can be brought into this government to revigorate it? Why are we going back to some of these guys who have rocked before in the previous government that all of us believe did not perform? And that has to be said, Mr. President, that we have to say it out. Okay, why? There's a lot of people that are still standing on the wings. And then that minister, the one I'm happiest about is that Minister of Sports that they removed from that place. Not doing a good job. It's not doing a good job. And it's also okay to scrap the Minister of Sports. I think I'm down with that. Sports right now, globally, they're not really under government anymore. So they should have an independent commission that can run, but with experienced hands and people know what they are doing. So maybe that's where President is going, and I also support that. We have too many ministries that we have no business being in. First, it's one of them. We are not competitive now because of all these bureaucratic bottlenecks that all this ministry thing bring. Give them a commission, give us a solid guy who knows what's up, not a farmer like the other guy. Let him go back to his chickens. We need somebody who knows about sports, somebody who has the domain expertise to run the commission and all the departments under it. So I don't know, we're going to see as the appointments in that place go. Sports is one of the things that give us the most positive image globally. It's something that markets us greatly. If done right now, we are not winning at anything. We are not excelling in anything. So the man should go. All his people should go. We should get new people in there. And then maybe Nigeria can go back to its, at least in sports.
Okay. One moment, please. I beg your pardon. Uzo has been holding on for quite a bit. Good morning, Uzo. Thank you for holding on.
And then maybe Nigeria can go back to its, at least in sports.
Uzo, can you hear us?
Uzo has been holding on for quite a bit.
Uzo?
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning, sir. Okay, please go ahead now.
Good morning.
Good morning. Could you mute the volume of your television set, please?
I can hear you in a bit.
Yes, can you just silence your television?
Yeah, I think your speaker, no, I'm not linked with my distance. I can in a bit here.
Okay. Go ahead, please.
Okay. I said that I think the appointments, your guest there has been spot on with his analysis so far. I don't think he could have done it any better. All the areas I felt I wanted to touch on while I was holding on, he was hitting the nail right on the right spot.
Okay.
So he's talked about Ministry of Sports. That government had no business in sports. It was the right step in the right direction. He's also mentioned that, yes, this cabinet reshuffle was due. It was apt. They've done some, but a lot more of the ministers are still crappy. A lot more should have gone. Like he rightly mentioned, I said he's spot on, and I couldn't have, I think you should run on while I listen.
Okay. Just before you go, Uzo,
thank you, sir.
Can you still hear me, Uzo?
Yes, I can, yeah.
Okay. With the introduction of Bianca Odumego Ojukwu to the cabinet, that makes two now. opposition party members that are in this cabinet.
Okay, this is my view.
Yes.
And I think we should not pander to the antics of politicians. It's time for governance. We need to get the best we can to fill the spaces. And when it's time for politics, we can now start dissecting. Right now, it's time for governance. Governance is for everyone, whether you voted for or you voted against. And I think we should run it that way. That's the way it's done.
Okay, then. All right, then.
100%.
Thanks for calling in, Uzo. So, Okwe, the number of opposition figures has now increased. Wike, as you know, is of the PDP. Now, Ojukwu has joined.
Is he?
She's a forerunner in APGA.
I don't know. Sorry. I'm sorry.
Yes. Please, I didn't hear you. Please continue.
Yes, I say, well, it's Wike really from PDP, but that aside, I think Mr. President has done a great job. I told people that, again, I'm a big critic, but I also know that when Jagaban starts to roll, maybe all of us will get better with it. Yes, he's a man that has never been afraid of putting smart people who are even smarter than him in positions because he's in control. And him putting members of the opposition, no matter what we say, we have to at least give him that credit. In bringing Bianca Odumegwu into the cabinet is very strategic. Baba is using native sense very well. So the Igbos can hardly complain that they are being ignored now when it's bringing one of their iconic people into the government. And this is also somebody who can perform. So it's not just pandering to them, it's bringing somebody who can deliver, or at least on paper has the experience, has the buying of our people, and also has the experience. And then bringing Dari, and even Jumaka is from the other government, I think. So, Mr. President, to do more of that so that we can integrate the country more and take the ground away from those who like to criticize based on ethnic issues. I like to criticize based on the issues. And then Mr. President is diffusing that ethnic part a bit, so we can criticize now whether somebody is performing or not performing, and not whether it's Yoruba or not Igbo or whatever. So I have to give him credit for that. But if you look at all his new appointments, the 7 new ones, only one is Yoruba. People will not notice that, but I did. But I'm not going to talk about that. 7 new people, only one Yoruba person there. Right? So to me, that's big credit to Mr. President for trying to be inclusive, regardless, of course, on what our issues about the appointments are. Swaiba, I have serious doubts about, but it's not Yoruba. 1 out of 7, nobody can say Baba is trying to just cater to Yoruba, and I give him amazing kudos for that. I know the kind of pressure he will have been on. I have friends that I expect to be in this new reshuffle who merit it and who are Yorubas, but are not here.
All right, then.
So I have to give it to Baba. Yes.
Okay. Tell you what, Okwe, I'll just take a quick break now. We'll be right back to continue this conversation and also take calls from both home and abroad on this matter. Stay with us, please. Okay, welcome back, and we're looking at the cabinet reshuffle. It's been called all sorts of names. It's been, long expected, and the president has indeed, he's done it. He's sacked, he's reassigned, and indeed he has appointed new members. Well, nominated is what we should say, but in this sense, it probably means one and the same thing. He's appointed, he's nominated, because those ministers that have been nominated must be brought before the Senate for approval. So now, Mr. President, no doubt, is Otumba in Abeokuta. Good morning. Good morning. Can you hear us?
Yeah, good morning. I'm hearing you.
Okay, sir.
I'm hearing you, Uncle Yori.
Good morning, sir. Go ahead. Go
good
ahead.
Morning. And good morning to your guests.
Okay. Thank you.
I am hearing you.
Okay.
What I want to say is that, Uncle Yori, this cabinet is still too large. There is austerity in the land, hardships, hunger in the land. So the government should trim the cabinet to the number 37, and not only the cabinet, the departments and agencies too. We should reflect the system. We should reflect the situation that we are not in a normal situation. And then number two, I read that Kewu Diko, who was allegedly dismissed over corruption allegation as supposed to commission the DG, is back to his government. Why should that be? Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning. Thank you very much for calling in, Otumba. Okay, what do you think about the size of the cabinet, that these austere times might have been reflected in governance and this whole idea of reducing the cost of governance?
Yes, I agree with him. Ordinarily, and I've said this on my blog several times, but I think I'm getting more charitable these days because I realize that it's one of the evils or one of the downsides of democracy. When people help you to win election, everybody wants to take part in sharing the power. So sometimes the pressure, I don't wish to put myself in the position of defending the government, but I like to also call it the way it is. So in at least the first year, okay, I can understand that, okay, trying to satisfy as many people as possible that help him to get there. And that even reflected in his first appointment. But 1 year is over. I think Baba is now backtracking, now trying to then get on with the order of governance after satisfying a lot of people who help him get to power. This is nobody won by themselves. So maybe in that extent, I may give him a little pass. Hopefully, it starts to consolidate, as you have seen him do with Ministry of Culture and Tourism, collapse that into one, and maybe continue to do that. Yes, cost of governance is high in these austere times, but I don't think it's those more ministries that is making that's going to make a big difference in terms of the money they are spending. The budget is going to be the budget. The salary of the ministers, they are not as consequential as those in our National Assembly. So if we are talking about austere times and we need to cut more money, it's those National Assembly guys that need to reduce their money by at least 50%, because that will be consequential. Because each of them are going on with, maybe from what I'm hearing, 29, 30 million a month. They've got 160 million cars, they want more. So I agree to cut it short that we need to reduce the cost of governance. But for governance to get to the grassroots, we need to have many power centers. So in that sense too, maybe, okay, our complaint should be the people that are there. It's not that there's too many power centers, in other words, many ministries or ministers of state, are they performing? That to me should be the focus. Because if they are performing, we benefit. It's like having many local governments. They're not going to say local government is too many if they are performing. It is when they are not performing that the issue becomes, oh, we're spending so much money on this.
Yeah.
So let's watch. I think, again, some ministers that should have been fired were not fired. But Mr. President cannot do everything in one day. So I have to give him that. But as for cost of governance, it's neither here nor there when it comes to ministries, in my own personal opinion. Breaking, for instance, the Ministry of Niger Delta into those 4 constituent parts will cost us more money, but we're going to have more development. Because now they're going to be more focused into their regional areas. So I typically don't focus on number.
Okay, let me pause and bring on Reverend Dominic in Alimosho here. Good morning, Reverend.
Good morning, Uncle Yodi. How are you today?
Very well, sir. Thank you for calling in. Go ahead.
I greet your guest in America. He's very robust. I wish I were him in America. I want... He's very robust. He's America. He's very looking fine. You know, he's in America, it's not in Nigeria. It's a brother I know closely. But Yori, I want to say this.
Sure.
There's something you must give this president. He's bold to do what he wants to do. Unlike the last administration, that people sit down and sit down and sit down. We don't know why they're sitting down or why they're standing up. But this man is bold. But I want to say this with all due respect, respectfully. There's something I expected in this particular cabinet reshuffle, is to share the weight
of what we call a burden of governance. I thought we could have moved from that 48, if I'm sure. I don't know how many we are. Either 48 or 49 or 40, I don't know. I thought we have shaded to something like 36 or 37 because of the way things are in Nigeria today. Respectfully, this president is bold. This president knows what to do, but the politics is over. I had somebody say, call me the other day, your sister have been appointed, Dan Kojuku. What does it make any difference? Whether we have 3 ministers and Nigeria work, whether we have 5 ministers and Nigeria work, what if Dan Kojuku had to do for me, who is hungry, who cannot buy food in my tank, who could not even feed very well? This is gospel truth. What does it do to me? The politics is over. It's almost about the Igbo, Hausa, Yoruba. If it is only Yoruba people that can give us governance, what is big deal? America is a continent. They don't have up to 20 ministers, but their system is working. What I'm trying to say, what I expected in this reshuffle, I was praying that earnestly, is cutting down the cabinet. Sacking 5 and putting 7 doesn't go well with me because of hunger. I may be wrong, but I'm doing it respectfully. The burden of governance is much. If you give me 1 second, I will give you history of Niger Delta Ministry quickly. When that Delta Ministry was mooted in 2003, 2004, Obasanjo refused to sign that bill, if you remember. The National Assembly had to vote on it. Our argument then, I was on the side of Mr. President. Do Niger Delta want development of bureaucracy? To bring another bureaucracy in that bureaucracy, that don't go down with me. You know what happened in National Assembly the other day about that ministry? If you're managing a little 12, 13 states and there's no development, how can you manage the whole Nigeria and you get development? What's about development here, not appointment? The president is good, the president is wonderful, but we need to share the cabinet. It's too heavy. Please, I want you to tell me how many we are. Are we 48 or 49? I don't know, honestly. I don't know how many ministers we have in Nigeria. As a Nigerian, as a little bit educated I am, I don't know how many ministers we have today. I think the burden is heavy. We need to do something quickly so we can feed and breathe. God bless Nigeria.
Okay, then. Thank you very much, Reverend Dominic. Well, okay, that sort of relates to what you were saying earlier.
That's an interesting comment, but I'll keep insisting that we are focusing on numbers rather than on results. Nigeria can even have 100 ministers that will actually make Nigeria better. Nigeria is too big. There's development needed everywhere. And the more people we have that are focused on specific portfolios, in my personal opinion, the better. Nigerians who are counting, it's 48, it's 50. You are just being penny-wise, pound foolish, in my own personal opinion, not to be disrespectful, that it should not be about that. It's because the more, we all say that when power is localized, is when you get more results. So if that's what you are saying, then complaining about whether they have 40 or 50 or 60 should not be the issue. The issue is this minister that they put here, what is he or she doing? If he's not performing, Mr. President, to fire him. I want to quickly put this in there in case I never get another opportunity.
Okay.
For those in opposition to the government, you have just witnessed Mr. President's weak point here. The man listens to the people. So engage him constructively. This is not in a way that is destructive. The man listens. All those 7 people, I just want to check, they were all hand very low by the people. So that means Mr. President is checking to see what the people are saying about his government. So if we can engage him constructively as the opposition, for those of you in opposition, maybe we can make Nigeria better because he listens. I just wanted to put that in there, unlike the previous government, where if you like, talk anyone you want, the man is just looking at you. Mr. President has people who are monitoring the pulse of the nation, and you see that anytime there's agitation in a particular area, he does something. And I have to give him that credit on air. That's democracy. You don't have to agree with him, how he solved the problem, but he listens. Okay, so that I just want to put that one in there. Because
all right.
Rather than not engaging in dragging and all of that stuff.
Okay, Umar, Mr. Umar in K2, good morning. Umar in K2, are you still there?
No, good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning, sir. Thank you for calling. Go ahead, please.
Yes, good morning. Yes, yes, I am here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
Okay, all right. So the thing is, many Nigerians are very disappointed with the new nomination of 7 other ministers after sacking 5 of them. Because one thing I know for sure is that, you know, some of these ministers of state and stuff like that, we don't need them. We don't really need them. They need to reduce the numbers of ministers, engage so many of them with so many, like they did during the Buhari regime, where he merged about 3 ministries under Fashola, and Fashola did fantastically well in those 3 ministries. Who told you? During the Buhari administration. So most of these ministers of state, they are just, in fact, I can categorically say that there are some ministers who've not even heard of them ever since they were appointed into this cabinet. They are even ashamed to even speak out about the administration where they are serving under. I don't think the president really needs to appoint more ministers when we already have been overloaded cabinet in this country. You should have reduced them, or even those that you think that you can just reshuffle them, merge them just like you did in the Minister of Sport and others, merge them together, appoint more of them, give them more responsibility. They will perform excellently well, rather than having more, because all these political, say you want to engage them because of political reasons and all that. Nigerians don't need these things, to be honest.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Good morning. Thank you very much, Mr. Umar. It goes to the point that Okwe has commented on that, look, well, as Okwe, as you were saying, you say focusing on the number might be missing the point. But there it is, Umar is also, it is his opinion that we don't need as many ministers as we have.
Most Nigerians like to focus on those issues because it gives them talking points. But I'm saying we want to get efficiency rather than number or no numbers. It's like saying, like what they did with Fashola that he's talking about. I think that was one of the worst decisions of the Buhari government, giving 3 portfolios to 1 man. Okay, they basically, to me, they almost wanted to destroy the legacy of Fashola with that. Anybody who says he performed excellently in those 3 portfolios, they don't know what they are talking about. The results don't say that, even though it's an excellent administrator. So more decentralization, in my personal opinion, the better. And they are ministers of state. Okay, they are ministers of state, many of those people that he appointed. So it is to get this bureaucracy down more to the grassroots. In my personal opinion, although I'm not put in a situation where I'm defending this government, I don't want to defend the government. I want to be a critic. So that way we can force the government to do better. But I also have to call it, I don't see it that way.
Okay. Mr. Abdullahi in Apapa, good morning to you, sir.
Yes, Uncle Yori, good morning.
Thank you for calling. Good morning.
Okay. I just want to comment on just the person that I've just spoken now.
Yes.
Omar? Who is complaining about the number of ministers.
Okay, that's Omar. Omar Nketu.
Minister of State and Minister of this are not necessary. Hello, sir?
Yes, we can hear you. Please continue.
Okay. I want to tell him that it is a constitutional requirement. We don't have 36 ministries. But the Constitution said that every state must be represented. Every state must have a minister. So if you don't have 36 ministries, and 36 people must be given ministers, then there must be a minister of state. So that one, I don't fault the president. The president cannot do anything about the number of ministers as far as it is up to 36. But my only concern here is that if the president said he rated minister, he look at their performance to see whether they are performing well or not performing well. That is the basis for the reshufflement of the cabinet. I don't see what Bianca Ono is coming here to do. Yes, I don't see what she is coming here to do. He just give us that reason, but he has other political motives. That is just my take.
Indeed.
About the cabinet reshuffle that has taken place. Yes, it's not truly based on performance.
What?
Yes. Okay. And if it should be on performance, I think the Minister of Power should have gone. Because since he came, nothing changed. Nothing changed. Since Adelabu came into this place, nothing changed. There was no improvement in the power supply. There was nothing. They increased the tariff. They did everything, and there was nothing. to show up for it.
Okay. Well, thank you very much,
within the
Abdullahi.
assessment-
Thank you. Appreciate your call, Abdullahi. Okay.
Yes, it's one of those guys. Adelabu is one of those guys that people feel should have been fired because results should be what is measured or what you are measured by. I don't have a problem with Bianca Ojukwu. I think that's a very strategic and good move. Not only is it a good nod to the East, who have felt a little bit neglected, even though, in my personal opinion, in terms of appointment, there's never been excessive against them, but it's an iconic figure and also somebody who had an experience. Maybe people look at Bianca, they see how fine she is, and they think she's not smart. But she was ambassador to Spain or something. And she did a good job there, at least as far as we can tell. So for me, it's neither here nor there. It's not as if the minister of the external affairs minister right now, before her, was doing an excellent job. What exactly are we gaining internationally right now? So for me, it's neither here nor there. We're going to judge Bianca on her own merit, whether she's going to be able to perform or not. We should focus on centers of development. The more the government put people and give them authority to do stuff in smaller areas, the more this power can devolve. We are all complaining now because many of the ministers were not doing their job. They are not doing a great job. And that's what we should focus on. And that's what we should
is Mr. Abdullahi still on the line? Okay. Okay. So sorry, Okwe. I was hearing someone on the line, but I've been told it's a Joseph from Ogun State. Good morning, Joseph in Ogun State. Joseph? Oh no, Joseph, if you called, can you hear us? Joseph in Ogun State, yo. Why are you folding our hand now? Joseph, why are you folding our hand in Ogun State? Well,
maybe there's no power. That's why they are complaining about Mr. Power Minister.
Joseph in Ogun State has folded my hand. Please continue. Please
That's
continue.
my state, too. Calm down.
Yeah. But so as was being pointed out by Abdullahi, there's a constitutional requirement too. And so that sort of gives us a base minimum. No matter how, how much we want to sort of manage our affairs, be frugal, so to speak, we have a commitment. The Constitution commits the president to select a minister from every state. And so when you look at it, maybe that's part of the answer to Umar, who called in, saying that there were far too many ministers. We don't need ministers of state.
Again, I'm for efficiency rather than numbers. So why is Mr. President in the street still the Minister of Petroleum? That part I want to know. Because he cannot tell us that being Minister of Petroleum is not distracting him from being able to have the global outlook on his government. I think it's about time it takes that plunge. I know that this has been the trend for the past 3 or 4 presidents, but to me, it's not efficient. It's not efficient for Mr. President to also make himself the Minister of Petroleum. We need somebody with domain experience there. Mr. President has not been in oil business before. So yes, he's the president. And he has great guys he can put in charge. You should put them, trust them, and then you do your global overseeing. I've never figured that out, and I was expecting that Tinubu would be the first person to make that move because it's the kind of move he will make and say, listen, this is not my team. This we should get, if we can have minister for housing, why we not have a minister for petroleum? Why should it be the president? Because there are some meetings that are supposed to be going on almost every day in that ministry. They're supposed to be strategizing and all that. Mr. President cannot do that while it's also supervising 48 or 49 other ministers of state. So I expected to see that. I did not see. I expected finance minister to be moved because you don't want to talk about who should have been moved. Let me force it on you, sir.
Well,
why?
Since the president didn't remove them, then there's no point, talking about those that the president, with all of his people, advising. But I think somebody broached the subject. The Minister of Power, that one, you hear somebody saying that actually he wouldn't have been surprised if the Minister of Power had been affected. I guess there might have been a number of people, but again, you don't know the lens through which these things are really seen. It was decided that, he was not doing a bad job because maybe...
Really?
Well, I mean, I'm just looking at it entirely from the point of view of the president's take. If he had felt that there was any necessity, he maybe might have. But it goes back to one of the things you said. The Minister of Power used to be a banker, right? He was a banker. He was a central...
Exactly. Putting square pegs in round holes is part of my article on my blog. That man should not be there. He knows nothing about power. He has no domain experience. He has no training. He's not been in that sector. He's a smart guy. If you look at his resume, you are going to be afraid. The man is extremely, extremely intelligent and qualified, is what I'm talking about. So he's going to need time to figure it out. Maybe 1 year, maybe he'll start doing better now.
Okay.
Eventually, he'll figure it out because he's a smart guy. Well, do Nigerians have that 1 year that we just wasted on that, in my personal opinion? Power has not improved. It's gone worse. But he might not figure it out because he's one of the most brilliant guys in this government. I will have to say that for him. But his expertise is not power. And that's the problem. Right now, he's probably going to school, calling some of the boys to teach him all this power stuff before he then figures out with his broad mind what to do. And that is the complaint. And remember, sir, you judge a minister by his performance, regardless of what he's saying, no matter of the English. If you poll Nigerians right now, most are not satisfied with the power. That means the guy's got to go. It's democracy. They need to reassign him or take him out. It's the way it is. You don't leave him there, and then you take out the Jew. Yes.
All right then, okay. This is the way people see it. No doubt. You see, we don't even know that this is the end of it. I mean, I wouldn't put it past this administration to come up with a part two. There just might be. Who is to say no if Mr. President so decides that further to the major announcement, take these additions. It's possible. One doesn't know.
I will even bet that that's the next thing. I actually bet Dagaban is not, he's the man very crafty. It will not make sense for him to deplete his cabinet like that. You remember, people's feathers will be ruffled. Some of them got that appointment, let's face it, because either they themselves or their godfather contributed to the winning of the election. And he probably doesn't want to treat these people who supported him the way he was treated as in Jagaban government. You don't just in the Buhari government. You don't throw out your supporters like that. He has to do some groundwork. He has to do some massaging. So I see more will be coming. I can bet on that.
Indeed. Well, as always, it's so enjoyable when we talk with you, Okwe. But we've got to leave it here for later. See what developments come from this. The most important thing is that the president has rejigged his cabinet for better performance. We now, of course, Nigerians are going to be watching with a very keen eye. So, Dr. Okwe Banwo, US-based lawyer, political affairs analyst, thank you, as always, for coming on the program.
Thank you, sir.
All right, then.
Appreciate it.
Cheers. So that's our program today, then. Do please join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. I am Yori Volare. Bye-bye for now.
The following is a paid presentation by ShopX TV. Are you tired of spending countless hours in the kitchen, wrestling with cumbersome appliances, and juggling multiple tasks just to prepare a single meal? Frustrated with messy cleanups from different tools that never seem to get the job done right?